in friendships, like friendships in for jealousy, or friendships in because of betrayal, or something like that, like a general theme. So why do there seem to be themes to your friendships in life?
So a lot of times themes come in because there's unworked with energy for you, or you're allowing something in your energy. One of the things that's really interesting that I get is a lot of relationships end because of jealousy. And there's jealousy in different areas of different things. Sometimes it's just people make things seem really easy. They kind of just take life with a grain of salt, like, life is like this, and let's keep going, and this is the way it is. And so they make things look really easy. Well, someone else is going to be like, oh my gosh, you have like the hardest life ever, or whatever else, or you have a really easy life where my life is really, really difficult. So that can be like just one of those, like, oh, their life is always easy because you're making it look easy. And so one of the things that I get with you is that you also make life look really easy. So you're making things, not that you're trying to, you're just kind of like from other people's perspective, they're seeing it as really easy, but that's not always the way it is. Like, you kind of internalize what's going on, how sad or bad things are. You may tell other people about it, but because you're a clairsensitive, you usually end up listening to them, and you get to hear about their sob stories. Their boss did this, their friend did this, their boyfriend did this, their husband did whatever it is. So you end up kind of becoming more of a counselor. And so because you're not complaining as much as everybody else, they think, oh, her life must be really, really easy. Now, the other one I get for a lot of different people, Akara, I will answer your question in just a second. So one of the things that I also get that's really important for people to understand is when that jealousy comes up, it's one of those, like, it's a monster, and it usually tears apart a relationship, kind of like just like an evil, like, climbing through things. One of the interesting things is you also outgrow, not just you, other people. There's different levels of people when you are working in relationships, when you are working in like friendships and that sort of thing. A lot of times you're like outgrowing them. So one person will outgrow the rest of the group, or one or two people outgrow the rest of the group. So that's kind of an interesting one. So Akara, let me she wants an angel card reading. So Akara, this is the angel card reading I get for you, and it's all about power. This is kind of the interesting one. You have power within you, but I guarantee you, Akara, you are not connecting to the power within you. You are totally kind of like almost like afraid of the power, or you're afraid of what the power is going to bring to you, or how it's going to come at you. So it's almost like, I don't know if I can handle all of this power that's coming in. So just know that that's kind of it. Anybody else that's joining in, you can ask an angel card question. You can ask any questions about friendships or relationships that we are talking about with Tita. So if you have any questions, post them and we will get to them. But we're going to go back to Miss Tita.
Okay, so you mentioned jealousy is a common theme. Would you say like that's kind of probably is, I don't know, this is maybe general, not just like in my personal life, but like, is jealousy the common theme for why friendships end?
I will say jealousy is probably the one that breaks up more relationships than anything else. And it, like, I've seen it, jealousy of like people like, you have a better job than I do, you have a better husband or boyfriend or whatever it is, or your family's nicer, easier, wealthier, whatever it is. So there's kind of like, you have something that I don't have kind of energy. And that's all about jealousy. Like, if they think like, oh, well, your family's really supportive of you, they could be jealous of that because their family is not supportive. They could be, and to me, it's like one of those kind of like one of those crazy questions is, a lot of times people are jealous about money. And it's like, if you make $1 more a year than they do, they think you're wealthy. If you make $1 less, it's like, oh, I'm superior to you sometimes. That's how crazy people get about jealousy. But jealousy is an evil green monster, and it really can tear through friendships. So if you're not like understanding that, or both sides are not understanding that, it can really tear up a relationship. It really, really can. And it can do it very easily. It can do it like without like just all of a sudden it's just like falling apart and you're like, what the heck just happened? And it's because jealousy was there. You were just oblivious to it.
So as some of these, you're going around, you have friendship for years, but how do we know if you've said we can outgrow people? How do we know when we start to outgrow people or the universe is sending us signs that it's time to maybe exit the relationship or look at it in a different light?
Okay. So one of the things I often tell my clients is kind of we get messages from creator energy in 5 different ways. And it's actually easier if you listen when it first starts showing up. But I guarantee you are going to see signs and symbols that this relationship is no longer working. And sometimes this happens when someone keeps bringing up the same thing. Like kind of like the example is kind of like, well, last month you stole 5 French fries off my plate, and you're like, it was 5 French fries. You know what I'm saying? Like they're bringing up things over and over and over again, and they're not calming it down. It's kind of like this is their way of going like this is coming up. But creator energy talks to us in 5 different ways. First off, he whispers to it. You kind of get that little message like this isn't working right, or you're giving in too much. You kind of get those little whispers. Then he starts to talk to us, and then he yells at us, and then he screams at us, and then he kicks us in the head. A lot of times people wait until he's screaming at us or they're getting kicked in the head, and then all of a sudden they're like, you were my friend and now you're gone and I don't know what to do about it. That's because you waited till here. You kind of got some signs like, I'm getting over this quickly, or I thought this was all settled and here's the same issue rising back up again. And you're like, I thought we settled this. Like, I thought we settled this part, or I thought we had talked this all out. And they're like, well, I don't feel settled with it. That means that they're like talking about this over and over again, or they're rethinking about it. And they're really crazy about like, I feel like I need to dominate this. And that's usually when, if they feel like someone needs to feel like they need to dominate over you, that's because they feel in like you're superior to them, or they're jealous of you in some way.
So in these friendships, that inevitably end, there's a karmic cycle to them, correct?
There is a karmic cycle to relationship, yes.
Okay, so how do we figure out what the karmic cycle is what it is, the karmic energy that we're trying to heal with that particular person?
So one of the first things I will say to people is when you're like having a relationship fall apart and you kind of know like, okay, it's, kind of like not doing well, or this is kind of coming to a close, really think about all of the relationship. The higher energy is going to actually win. They're going to win the karma race to this. But it's one of those, when you are in a relationship, friendship kind of relationship, talking to someone, and you're kind of like, you're getting the ideas of like, this is not good. This is not a good relationship, or not healthy for me. What people will do is they kind of like I'm trying to think, like I got off track for a second. I've got like another energy popping in. One of the energies, okay, reread the question. With the karma, we're talking about karma.
Yeah, karma.
Okay, sorry.
And how do we identify which karma with which friend and how?
So when you rethink about the relationship, when you kind of like replay the relationship, like we met here, we did this happened, we went here, we did all of these things. When you start thinking about it, if you kind of get into the energy of like, I love that we were friends. I love that we had this great attachment for a while. I helped you with this. They helped me with this, all of that kind of stuff. You're winning the karmic race right there, because everything that comes to you in your world is meant to teach you a lesson. There's always a lesson. There's never anything in your world that's not supposed to be a lesson. Everything in your world is supposed to be a lesson to what you're supposed to be learning. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like the parents you picked, the friends you picked, the siblings you picked, all that kind of stuff, everything is supposed to teach you lessons. And if you're not learning those lessons, you're going to have that same karmic cycle over and over and over again. You're going to have more friends that come in are jealous of weird things. Hello, Miss Kathy. You're going to have more people that are coming in with all kinds of crazy energy or whatever it is, like over and over and over again. That's when you know you haven't learned your lesson. when you have friends come in and you have different issues or different problems or different things with them, then you know that you're working through your stuff.
Okay. So how do we know when we've, when we've broken the cycle?
So kind of the best ways to do that is, okay, one of the things, like, have you ever had a friend that dated like 4 or 5 people while y'all were friends? Most people have had that, like
Yeah.
they've had some friends. So one of the weird ones is they were dating someone, they broke up with that person, they started dating someone new, and then you realize, like, wow, this is the same person, but he's taller, shorter, fatter, thinner, whatever. But it's the same energy, and they're doing the same thing. Like, the last one cheated, this one's cheating. The next one's going to cheat. That's when you know you haven't learned it. So if you're having the exact same issues over and over and over again, that's when you know you haven't grown. So if you had one relationship and the person cheated, and then you start a new relationship and this broke up because of miscommunication, you're at least growing past it.
Okay. Well, how would that relate to friendships?
So it could be if you had a friend who, like, that the relationship broke up because of, like, they moved away. They moved to Alaska, and the friendship kind of, that's one reason. Okay. Another reason could be that there was miscommunications or there was jealousy. As long as it's not the same jealousy every time for the same reasons, or they're always like coming up with the same things. Does it make sense? Like, as long as it's something new and different, it's a new karmic lesson.
Okay. So if you had, let's say, one, I don't know, that in like high school or something that broke up because of jealousy. And then you had one later in life that was more just like there were communication errors or, communications. That would be
A different lesson.
those would be the different lessons.
Right.
So then that person would have been elevated or cleared that karma cycle from the
Right.
jealousy.
See, and then
now
they
is
would have got
working
into
on it.
miscommunications. And so once you clear the miscommunications, so it's kind of like, once you kind of learn, like, oh, I need to make sure that I have clear communication with my friends. I need to make sure that I'm not, like, you need to tell them absolutely 100% of your life, but it's one of those, when you do talk, that you are having clear communication with them.
Okay.
And
so would those two be the same karmic cycle?
they're different.
Or they're different. The
because
first one was jealousy and the second
one is communication. So there are 2 different cycles.
Okay, so then with the first one, if as long as you don't have another friendship that ends because of jealousy, then you've cleared that karmic energy
Right.
and that past life energy.
Right.
And then the new one is communication. So
Right.
as long as you don't have a new relationship, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so I know this because I'm a client, but I do know that some of your past life energy bleeds over into this life. So like with this example of the jealousy and the communications, those are energies from past life, like for me, like, let's just say it's me in this example, it is. But I brought that jealousy and that communication error from a past life.
You wouldn't be the only one.
Okay. So it'd be the other person in the relationship.
So a relationship is 2 people.
Mhm.
Okay. A relationship is 2 people, and it has to stay in balance. So it's one of those, if you brought in like jealousy energy from another past life and they brought in jealousy energy from a past life, that's the only way you're going to have jealousy energy in the relationship now. Now, once that jealousy is done and you've kind of moved past it, you're going to just be like jealousy is not going to come in on that level for you. The other person, if they haven't cleared that karma, they may have other relationships that have karmic energy in them, or karmic energy with jealousy mixed in there. But we do meet a lot of our friends come in from past lives that connect with us in this life. And that's kind of the interesting part for us, is that it's like giving us an opportunity. So Venus in the sign of Virgo is giving us an opportunity to really clear out old karma.
Okay. I guess another question would be, why do there seem to be people who have, friends, like you meet them all the time and they're like, this is my best friend. We've been friends since kindergarten, or, middle school, elementary, like whatever it is, and they've seemed to be friends for a lifetime. And then there's other people who like um, seem to have friends for a period of time, maybe like 5 to 10 years, and then they're in a new friend.
Okay. So there's a couple of different reasons why you're going to have that. Sometimes you come in and you're really balanced with that person, and it's one of those, like, as long as y'all are on the same karmic level as you move up in life and you kind of stay within each other, almost like if y'all are running a race and may not be shoulder to shoulder, but you're within a few feet of each other one way or forward, that's when you're going to stay with that person for a long period of time. And that would have been something that you would have figured out prior to you coming into this life. You would have picked that person prior to this coming into your life. Now, a lot of times what happens is one person's learning their lessons and they're doing their stuff, they're kind of moving through. Any person that comes into your life is going to be within a range. Like I said, just like running a race. It's one of those, if your level, if you are at a 50, they're going to be a 55 to a 45. They're not going to be here and they're not going to be here. They're going to be very close to that energy level. Does that make sense? So kind of like that energy level is going to be really close. But usually what happens is you come in at a 50 and this person is a 45 when you first meet, and everything is great. They may move up to a 48 or a 49, and so they're really close in energy to you. And then you learn a couple of life lessons and you go through this and you do this and you do this. You've left them in the dust. And it's not bad. It's just they're not growing anymore. They're kind of like, I've stopped. I'm not doing this anymore. I've kind of done all of this. Hello, Miss Chelsea B. But it's like they're not growing anymore. They're staying stuck in the energy that they're in. Therefore, they're not growing anymore. And as long as you keep growing, you're going to kind of, like, you're down here, you're going to grow into a friend range, and then you're going to grow out of that friend range. But you can't make someone else grow. Like, you can't force someone else to go, like, you've got to learn this life lesson. It's one of those, like, you can help them as much as you can, but eventually they're not going to move. They're comfortable in that area. And if you stay friends with someone who's not in your friend zone area, it's one of those, they are going to pound you over and over again because you can't stay on that level. You're like, you've grown past it. It's like going back. You can't go back to kindergarten when you're in 5th grade. You go to kindergarten in your 5th grade and you're like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've already learned all this. You get bored, but that's their turf. That's it. They know how to work the energy. They know how to get everything done, where you're going like, what the heck? Like, I'm over this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is it in like those instances where
Kathy, you're very welcome, Kathy. Hopefully that explains a lot. If you have any questions, let me know, Miss Kathy.
Okay, so if that's the case, so let's say we have that situation where, 45, they're 48, and you're 50. Let's say you elevate eventually to 55, and that's where you have those issues come in, like communication issues would come into play. So those friends who can grow, let's say that 48 does grow from that lesson and they learn and maybe they come up to a 52. Is that really the difference between a friendship continuing versus a friendship ending?
Absolutely. A bazillion %, like, pass the test right there. Because what happens is if they're not on your same level, you're going to grow past them, or they're going to grow past you. I'm just saying, like, one person's going to grow past the other one. And that's usually what happens. And you might see that person like a couple of times a year. You might see them, and it would be more like then an acquaintance if you're too far different. So if you're now like a 60 and they're still a 49, you might see them in the store and you might go, hey, how's it going? How's your mom? How's your dad? How's your cousin? How's your brother? How's the dog? Oh, great. You have a great life. And there's no karmic energy. Does that make sense? Like, you go on with your life and everything's happy. They are going to stay in that energy until they learn enough lessons to move forward. And everybody is in their own race. It's like we should have little blinders on, because jealousy comes in when you go, their life is really easy. They got this, let's go back to high school. Like, I'm saying, it's like they got the cool jeans or the cool pants or the cool shoes or whatever else that I wanted. And so now I'm jealous that they got it and I couldn't get it. Mm-hmm. And so it comes up in these small little bitty ways of energy. And anytime a friendship comes in and it's out of balance, let it go. you have to be the bigger person a lot of times of going like, I bless you on your path. I bless you for coming in and being my friend. I bless you for coming and being a part of my life for this period of time, whatever that is. And I bless you on your path. Because if you wait till it gets into the like kicking in the head, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, God comes in 5 different ways. So it's like, if you wait till you get here to the yelling and the screaming and the kicking of the head, that's when everything goes to heck in a basket and you can never get that friendship back. Like there's too much water under the bridge. But if you kind of do it in here and go, you know what? I appreciate your friendship and I just feel like things are not going the right way. And I bless you on your path and I hope you have an amazing life, but I'm going to take a step back from this relationship for a period of time. That relationship could come back.
Okay.
But if it's like, you know, it's almost like you had a fight and you said too many things and it's like, you know, we can't get rid of all of that extra energy. It's too much. There's too much water under the bridge. There's too much that's been said to keep that energy in there.
Okay. Can you, I know it was really helpful for me about the, taking like the energy if you're working and then all of a sudden you have thoughts or memories that pop up of them, how psychically that's, you know, most likely them thinking or talking about you. Can you show, you know, YouTube and TikTok how you showed me how to take that energy and push it away?
So a lot of times, like when a friendship gets to that point where it's kind of like it's falling apart. So usually what I tell people is when all of a sudden, like out of the blue, Joe Schmo energy shows up in your head and you're like, I wasn't thinking about Joe Schmo and here this energy is, know that they're probably thinking about you in some way, shape or form. Their energy was like, I wonder what they're doing, how they're doing this, whatever it is. And so a lot of times I almost take it off your chest as if it's like a hair or something like that, kind of taking it off. And what I normally do is I bless it on its path. I thank you so much, Joe Schmo, for being my friend for whatever period of time. And I release you.
Mm-hmm.
And I bless you on your path to wherever you're going, because that's the best way to bless somebody's energy, kind of like pushing it away and kind of like go, releasing that energy, because they're trying to connect back with you by thinking about you. And it could be, sometimes it's like little bitty triggers, like they could have seen a car that looked like yours and you're like, oh, that could be so-and-so's. Or they saw someone that like from the back, it's like, oh, that could be my ex-friend so-and-so, that sort of thing. But there are times when they're just like, yeah, so-and-so, you know, she was a horrible person, or he was a horrible person, or he was like, he acted like he was my friend, but he really wasn't my friend. That's when you, like, all of that energy needs to go. And whatever you send out into the world is what you're going to get back. So the best thing to do is easily send that energy away and bless it on its path. Because when you say, I bless your energy on its path wherever you go, literally that blessing comes back to you.
I really have kind of just one last question for you.
That's okay. We're at 25 minutes.
And this was a term that you and Cindy used earlier, and I want to know more about it. So
Okay.
Please do share. What is the difference between a friend and a soulmate friend?
So a soulmate friend is a friend that was could have been or was a soulmate in a previous life, and it could have been in any one of your past lives. Usually it's someone who is really connected to you. So a really close relative, like parent, siblings, or a child. It could also be like kind of like the energy, someone that you were really connected to, had a relationship with in some way, shape, or form. Like, I don't mean just like they were like, that's the guy that you bought milk from. And no, this would be like a relationship. And when they come in to your current life, all of a sudden you're like instant best friends. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we haven't been friends for the last 20 years of our lives. Mm-hmm. That's where you get that soul connection. It's almost, and then immediately you start answering each other's questions. But a friend is just a friend that you meet in this life. Like, this is the first life that you've been with them. And it's one of those, and they come in with their karmic stuff, their karmic issues, their yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. And so each of you have your own. So for a period of time, every friend has the possibility of being your friend forever. But eventually one of y'all will start growing past the other. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, are they continuing to grow? Then that's great. Then you're going to keep like, boop, 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 here we go. If not, what's going to happen is one's going to outgrow the other. And that's when the friendship comes to an end.
Oh, I do have one more question.
She has one more question.
I'm so sorry, but
That's
you made
okay.
me think about this.
Okay.
So with those friends who you said where they seem to be friends for a lifetime, and you said that they have to make that's like, part of like their contract essentially. Before they came down here to the earth, they decided we're going to be friends, and we're going to be friends from kindergarten till we die. Are those the friends, like you, that soul connection is where y'all, the souls, decided we're going to learn this lifetime. We're going to learn these lessons.
We're going to learn these
and
lessons.
We're going to stay together, and we're going to learn these lessons together and clear the karmic cycle.
So one of the best ways to put it is when you're in heaven thinking about what you're going to be and do and have on earth, when you're thinking about all of those things, it's kind of a cross between a football huddle and little girls playing house. Okay. And if you've ever seen little girls playing house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They'll be like, you're going to be the mommy, and you're going to be the daughter, and you're going to be the daddy, and you're going to be the sister, and you're going to be everybody's getting whoever they are, they're getting a title. Now we add the football huddle. You and I are going to have miscommunications. You and I are going to have relationship issues. You and I are going to have jealous energy that we're going to have to work through. So that's part of what's going on. So we're going to work through that. And a lot of times that's the energy that we have to put forward as long as the other person shows up. Now, because we made this contract, now, like every city contracts where people do not show up and do their fair share. That's what happens a lot of times. You're going, our relationship contract was for this amount of time to this amount of time, and we're supposed to do this, and we're supposed to have these problems and issues and all this kind of stuff. I'm holding up my end of the agreement, but you're not. I'm being a good friend. I'm showing up where I'm supposed to be. I'm treating you the way I would want to be treated. I'm doing all of these things, but you're not treating me the same way. So then that's when eventually you kind of go, this is nuts. Like, I'm doing all of this for you. I'm helping you. I helped you move, or I helped you do this, or I helped you change jobs, or I helped you do this. And then when it's time to be repaid, it's not coming in that way. So that's when you kind of have to go, okay, I'm complete. I'm not going to do this. And this happens a lot with people that get engaged. Like, it's promised, like we're promising we're going to get married and we're going to do all these things together. But sometimes that falls through. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's like if you were to have a child and you give up that child for adoption, that adoption could be part of that child's karmic energy, and it may, or it could not be. It depends. So it's not always a karmic issue in that area. So it's like some people are like, well, if they had the child, that was part of their promise. No, maybe that was their job was only to carry that baby and to have that baby and gift that baby to someone else. So that's not always the energy with it, but that's kind of the interesting part for most people is like, you can go see your contracts. If you didn't know that, you can go see your contracts that you have. You can go. Now, I will tell you, it is an upper level meditation. This is not a meditation that you're going to easily like, oh, I haven't ever meditated, I'm going to meditate. Going to the Akashic records or the Akashic records is a very in-depth meditation, and it can take like 30 minutes to an hour to go and see one record. Wow. Because you have to go deep into a meditation, and not that people can't learn, but it's kind of like anything else. You have to learn how to get there. You have to learn, be able to meditate that long. And your archangels take you there. So but you can see those karmic contracts. You can go back and see karmic contracts from past lives as well. So that's kind of the fun one of like, you get to go see those karmic relationships kind of, and you can also meditate into, like, if you really wanted to, you can meditate into a past life and see what that person was like in that past life.
Interesting.
I know. Past lives are one of one of my favorite things to kind of do and kind of deal with. I love that part. I love the past life thing, because not everybody can see their past lives. not everybody can understand their past lives, and it can be really an amazing aspect to kind of understand how people connect with you from the other side.
Interesting.
Okay. I thank y'all so much for joining me. We went over a little bit. I'm so sorry we went over a little bit. I will tell you, I love doing Thursday Night Live. I will be on live next week. I will be on Facebook and Instagram next week. So if you want to join then and ask questions, I'm thankful that y'all joined us tonight, and I bless you on your path. You have an amazing night.